To access all full body language videos, breakdowns and analysis, alongside the game that I can't feature here on YouTube, check out the Patreon, the link is in the description. Thanks.
Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. Another one for the old attraction, another one for the old dating game, yeah? Don't try persuade her. Don't try and persuade her to like you. My brother, create something of yourself. If you're trying to persuade her, you're not perceived as valuable. Sorry to break it to you. You're not perceived as valuable. If you have to persuade a woman at the very, very, very best upper echelon of reaction you can get, if she actually does something for you, if she actually accepts that date, hell, even if she sleeps with you on the one time, the thing is, considering you had to persuade her, that showcases where you align in the sexual marketplace. She doesn't perceive you of being anyone of substance, so she will soon leave you for somebody who is. Real talk. Real talk. You want to comfortably and confidently be in position as to where the natural order engages itself. If you have to potentially try to persuade a woman to like you or give you attention, my brother, don't go home and masturbate. Transmute that sexual energy and discomfort into something creative and make something of yourself. Redirect that energy into something that you're building on, that you're creating, establish something of you. Take it into the gym or whatever means of expression you have, which will in the future elevate you into being a more valuable man in the eyes of the feminine, if not yourself first and foremost. Let's say I sell cleaning products. I can persuade a client to buy this product when they're umming and ahhing, right? That opens the door for me to get for them to get a refund, for them to complain, for them to make accusations that I forced it upon them, gave them the hard sell, right? You see the metaphorical context here. Whereas if the product was marketed well, advertised well, packaged well, a genuine valuable product as to which I believed in wholeheartedly and was presented as such, given it's marketed to the right people or come across somebody within the right market as to whom it appeals to, or somebody who is in the market for this particular product, they will come up, they will purchase the product, no persuasion needed, because they wanted that, because they saw the value in that, because they perceived that as something as to which they wanted in their life. It fulfilled a void, right? Let's say it's a window cleaner. They've got dirty windows, needs cleaning, they've got no window cleaner, right? She needs a man. She needs a man who is this tall. She needs a man who represents this quality. She needs a man who represents something that fulfills the void as to which she believes she needs. She needs somebody who portrays her father figure. She needs somebody who portrays, the love and care and guidance that her grandfather gave her. She wants somebody who reflects her past lovers, because she's established a pattern and an imprint as to whom she is genuinely attracted to. There is a void inside her that naturally attracts her towards particular types of men, showcasing particular qualities. And yes, generally you can maybe broaden the spectrum a little bit by getting in a bit better shape than what you were, by wearing nicer clothes than you once did, by speaking a little better, by advertising more, by creating this essence of pull through whichever way you want. But the bottom line is, you can't go over and just start saying, oh come on, you won't go on one date, I need you. Do you see? Undercurrent message, I need you. Why do you need me? Why? Because a man of value doesn't need somebody like me. Number one, you should get better looking girls than me, more valuable girls than me. Two, you are elevating my value to the very least of being equal to yours, and that's not a position I want to be in, because I want to date upwards. I look at the world. I don't need to be taught this. I look at the world and I see women dating upwards. I don't see women dating downwards. And the women I see dating downwards, me and my friends laugh at them. Me and my friends don't see what she sees in her. Me and my friends see destructive relationships stem from that. You see where I'm coming from? Don't go persuading no one. Who cares? Why do you care so much? Why do you need to persuade me? You should be focused on other things. Persuade some money in your bank. You little boy, you know? Go redirect that energy to somewhere else. That's some quick game. I'm just going to leave that one there. Click like and subscribe. Peace. Everyday superpower. We talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. We're essentially going to carry on from a video we did not so long back in regards to having direction, ambition, and of course it all goes hand in hand. It's all cohesive, right? There's a knock-on effect from everything. So when you start applying yourself as a man, and I'm talking about attraction here, people. I'm talking about being attractive to women. I'm talking about actually being a respectable man. Yeah, outside of the realms of what society wants you to be, but more so fulfilling your biological reality. And in doing so, you garner and manifest everything you've ever wanted in your life, everything you've ever dreamed of. You learn to acknowledge what you can't have, and you realize what you can't have is not something you actually want anyway, but something that has been sold to you by the advertisement and the carrot and the stick that the, marketing agencies try to hook you with and get you on that endless hamster wheel, and you become a magnetic figure for the feminine to be attracted to, right? So you needn't ask for permission for anything, right? Don't seek permission constantly. From time to time, you might want to bring your missus in or bring the lady in and ask her opinion as to whether you should or shouldn't do something. If you need a second-hand choice, and that opinion is going to be, your defining point. Because if you are uncomfortable doing something, generally speaking, it's best not doing it whatsoever. It's about calculated risk, and if the action you're about to take has the potential of being problematic and you are uncertain, then maybe it's the best time to ask your other half and say, excuse me, what do you think to this? And she'll go, I don't think it's a great idea. And you say, okay, cool, I'll leave that until I'm more confident. Let's focus on something else. Bada bing, bada boom. But other than that, you seeking for permission is garbage. It's garbage. I don't know what the world is like where you live. I think different cultures have it a little bit more traditional than over here in the Western world on the little island I reside on. But the idea of being a whipped husband or boyfriend is not uncommon. It's not uncommon. It's not abnormal that a man, brackets boy, in a relationship, because no matter what age you are a boy if you are this way, and your missus looks at you as such, that you have to ask her permission to go to the pub with your friends. You need to ask if it's okay for you to do this, that, and the third. If it's okay to skip movie night that you have every single week and instead focus on yourself and build a business. Stop doing that shit. Just do it. Just do what you want to do. You'll be working within the perimeters and boundaries of a healthy relationship. Like, you're not going to go out of your way to be a complete knobhead. But the idea that you have to submit subserviently to her to have control over your own life, which you've got no control over. You have her control the yes and the no's and the do's and the don'ts of your own life. You're fucked, man. You're fucked. That you've lost your standing as the masculine entity within that relationship. You've lost it. You are supposed to bring order. You are supposed to have direction, drive, momentum, intention, and care for number one first. In a religious context, which is not something I preach here, as I am not, but in a religious context, they say that the woman looks up to the man who looks up to God. and the children looks up to the woman. That is the natural spiritual hierarchy of things to promote a healthy household. And biologically it's sound, right? So why do you need to ensure that it's okay for you to do what you want to do? Why have you gotten into a relationship with somebody that has the potential to stop you from having a good time, from being productive, from being creative, from putting yourself first? You have fallen into the trap of happy wife, happy life, and now you are pedestalizing her. You have elevated her to the role of the man in the relationship. The kids see that. She's disgusted by you. This falls into the realm of the nerd asking, why does she always go with the bad guy? Why doesn't she like me? I give her everything. Why does she always go with the bad boy? And that's because that bad boy has a self-worth, a self-belief, an understanding that it doesn't matter whether she likes it or not. I'm going to do what I want to do. To the extent of 5 years into a relationship, I can say to her, I'm going to go out and cheat on you. And I'm going to fuck the whole relationship up. And she'll be like, oh no. It's like, I have the power of my own choices. I can commit to my own actions. I take full ownership, responsibility of everything I do. Am I going to do that? No. But it's like, who's going to fucking stop me? The moment I can't do what I can't do, I have essentially been imprisoned in a relationship, and then you fall into the realm of where everybody comments online and you see stuff like, oh, I hope you're getting used to marriage. Oh, this is what marriage is like. Well, why get married? Why get married? Why get married? If this is what marriage is like, if this is a normal long-term relationship, if this is what ends up happening, if your missus starts nagging, giving you a headache, stopping you from doing what you want to do, you start living a shit life, you start bowing down at the feet of the woman, like it should be the vice versa, right? Why are you still in that relationship? Why are you still living your life like this? Because if I'm questioning that, isn't she? She does not want that. She doesn't want that. She never wanted that. She never wanted that. She's going to cheat on you. And let me say this each and every video. She's going to cheat on you with the man who represents self-autonomy. She's going to cheat on you with the man who represents strength, independence, leadership. You're not leading no more. She leads you, mate. You're turning to her like a kid asking his mother, am I okay to do something? She will look at you like a boy because you're not a man no more. You're not a man no more. And you asking her gives her space to say no. And when she says no, how does that make you feel? And how does that make her feel? When you don't do it. No, you don't. You can't do that. You can't go and have fun. She has now set up a boundary where she can decide whether or not you actually go and have fun with your friends. Not that you should be doing that anyway. You should be building and creating, doing something productive. You know what I mean? You're a grown man. You should be having fucking fun with your friends. You know what I mean? Get new friends. If you're just sitting around bullshitting, wasting time. She don't want that either. You don't want that, you know? Build. So, what more needs to be said? You should never, within reason, ask for permission. You should never be in a position, you should never be in a relationship where it's gotten to this point where you have to ask for permission, because you are now projecting your mother onto her, because she is now pedestalized to a degree where she has complete and utter dominance over you. And being the feminine, she doesn't want to play the role of the dominant. She doesn't. The sex worker who has to dominate her clients aren't attracted to him. She doesn't think it's a positive trait. The fact that any sex worker, regardless of who they want to play, is financially dominating this man, taking money off and giving him a little bit of boxing in return because he can't get it elsewhere. She doesn't think, oh, this is the man I want to be with. Screw your head on, man. Click like and subscribe. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between, alright? This one's about relationships, it's about women, and it's about the way you perceive them. It's about dating communities, red pill communities, the manosphere, and everything in between, and it's an opinion different to the social norm, or at least an opinion that shares a difference to the more marketable influences of such, the more vocal and popular creators who may very well be in position for particular reasons other than the value of the information they provide, okay? But that's a story for another time. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to run down, there's a particular term for this. This is called red pill rage, right? And let me tell you what that is. That is when somebody, a young man, starts getting involved into educating oneself about the biological reality of attraction, about what women want and what women don't want in particular. They get a little bit flustered, a little bit hot under the collar, because they acknowledge that everything they have been taught and the naivety they once operated under had been a lie, and where they actually stand in the marketplace, or so they've been told, is a lot lesser than as to which they initially perceived themselves, alright? Because generally we don't get taught this theoretic stuff. We just sort of play it by ear and hope for the best. And if a woman comes into our life, she comes into our life, and all of the information aside from that tends to come from other people who don't really know nothing anyway and operate on their own, self-serving, principles, completely blind to the reality as to whether their partner does or does not actually respect them. So some people get flustered, annoyed, pick up the rational male, the game or whatever, and look into hypergamy, look into the idea of a woman being more attracted to a man with resources for whichever purpose. I mean, that does not put him in a position above and beyond you. It just means that he might get first pick to fuck it up, you know what I mean, when it turns out that he's actually a soft ass, repulsive man who's going to get taken for everything he's worth by this woman. You don't want to be in that relationship, so power to you. You don't have to perceive everything and what other men have as your lack. It's obviously not the case. But when the smoke clears and all of that settles, I want you to approach this game from a position of love, from a position of gratitude that you are learning things that other people don't learn, and you are seeing things that other people don't see. And I guess in a way it is parallel to conspiracy theorists, or for a better term, critical thinkers, individuals who take the less taken route and find truth in matters the majority are blinded or manipulated not to see, and in doing so you find a lot of darkness, a lot of evil in the world. You find a hell on earth per se. And alike the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were punished from taking the fruit and eating from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, right? So as you garner knowledge, as you garner understanding, as you start to perceive things from a different perspective, it does give you power. It gives you space to maneuver. It gives you an understanding as to where you can actually live your life in an enlightened sense, as opposed to chasing the carrot on a stick those in the know are placing before you and the rest of civilization. You don't have to opt into that game anymore. So there is a crossover value between that world and the world of attraction and the biological mechanics between man and women, because there's an ever progressive attempt to disguise and mislead man and woman into believing we are this, that, and everything we're not, confusing the men to be women and the women to be men, and breaking down the traditional family, saying that's completely fine, and single parent households are okay, acceptable, and I come from a single parent household, so I don't say this to be to cast judgment. It's not optimal. It's not optimal, and it's promoted, accepted, and completely fine. The idea that a woman can keep her children away from the father, and no one says the detriment, the psychological detriment of doing so without having both the masculine and the feminine principle involved in the plasticity of that child's brain during, the development process. It's incredibly destructive. The idea that the traditional value is now deemed as outdated, such as when normalcy has been outdated. When has normalcy ever been outdated? But we're in such a state that we look at blue as red and red as blue, and it's an ever progressing attempt to destroy the intelligence and have us not believe what we see and not believe what we hear, such as Orwell said and so forth. And when you take the glasses off and you see things as they are once again, and you find the traditional merit in our existence, in our relationships, in our transactional communications, and you make sense of that, it's incredibly empowering, but also incredibly, weakening. One moment, pal. I got food coming. So people find this information. It gives them an acknowledgement of how small they are in relation to the people who are someone. They've been curious as to why they aren't very good with women, how they can be better with women, and opposed to just pushing them along and giving them tips on to how to be better, they've found a mirror that reflects how small they truly are, in the eyes of the value of this sexual marketplace. And now, what's comforting in this state of discomfort is to find other like-minded individuals. And these like-minded individuals are content creators who are supposedly very good with women, although surprisingly always end up being alone and single, which is odd, right? And these content creators showcase, even though they're supposedly really good with women, a sharp tongue towards the woman, a disdain towards the woman, such as representing the crowd of people they attract who want to get better with women, yet find this echo chamber as to which only re-amplifies the idea that women are terrible beings. They're not, they're just different to us. We are acting like the woman who says all men are bad because they've had a bad run-in with a couple of men and now they paint us under the same brush. We know how ignorant that is. That's genuinely not the case. And the thing is, when you pedestalize women who pursue resource, women who have taught to apply this mask of fake eyelashes and are so insecure to the extent where they get the cosmetic surgery done, and you elevate and position these women to speak on these platforms in order to re-emphasize the way these disenfranchised men feel about women, it just creates a stronger distance, a stronger repulsion within this attraction process. So these men, if not you, have gone out to find important information on how to be better with women, how to understand women, how to understand yourself. And you've just been given content from the leading content creators, right? It raises question as to why these people are put at the forefront, right? You get your tinfoil hat and you tell me that, and have a look at, the backgrounds of these people, right? No comment needed. And you find that it just re-emphasizes and highlights a negative stigma on the feminine, but you have the feminine inside of you. Your emotional reaction to this is feminine, right? When you were born, before you grew a masculine genitalia, you were essentially feminine of gender prior to your development into the masculine, right? You are as feminine as can be when you involve yourself within that space. The anima, right, as Carl Jung would say. In the yin and yang, there's two dots in each half, representing the inner masculine and the inner feminine that reside in both places. It's a principle of polarity, it's duality. And when you learn to accept that and understand that, you can become free in your whole, right? Right. I'll be back with you in 1 second, but to just leave it on this one, you need to approach this from a position of love, and you need to look at women as somebody you love and somebody you love to learn about. And this scientific experiment per se, to educate oneself on the reality of human being and how we communicate and how we differentiate, because then as you get better with that, you start to learn the game, you start to learn how to enjoy passing her tests, you naturally start to learn and enjoy and embrace the positive attention and the positive feedback you get, because that positive feedback from the feminine is a reflection of your positivity expressed in your masculine. You are now finally becoming the man you wanted to be and the man they tell you you should be, whilst force feeding you any other way to not be that masculine. They just tell you what a man should be, but by the way, the women hate you and the women are terrible and the women will cheat on you and every woman cheats, blah 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 blah. There's particular principles and boundaries as to where you can rationalize anything, right? But you shouldn't look at the game as such, because then you're going to be by yourself. And the thing is, if you hate women so much, then who do you love? Men. Getting a phone call, hold on. So let me continue, yeah? You need to learn to love the women, not hate them because of who they are. If you crave to be with a woman, if you're not very lucky, if you want to be more successful with women, if you just want to be able to understand, don't look at their needs and wants as a reflection of your lack and allow that to harm you and hurt your frail ego and have these people tell you that's the way it is and profit and monetize off of this fear porn they're selling you. Instead think, you know what? I'm going to keep on pushing, and when you get your first positive responses from these women, when you start setting up dates, when you start building some degree of a system, because like for example, I was a little abnormal when I first started calling on a regular. Prior to going on a date, I would set up a phone call and I would speak to them on the phone, and I'd get good at speaking to women on the phone via the phone calls to the point where, you know, without being crass, you learn the ways of the words, and you learn how to establish an undercurrent of sensuality, and you learn how to stimulate the fascination and the imagination, and you start to think, oh crap, it's all starting to come together, it's all starting to work. I just went and picked up food. I didn't spend a penny on that food. That penny was from someone else. That pizza, those pennies that were invested into that pizza was from somebody else. Yeah? You establish a game, people start to love you, people start to give shit to you, people start to want to garner your attention and your time and your effort because it's valuable to them. And you can't do that successfully without loving the game, without giving love to the game. You can't be a great guitar player without loving playing guitar. You can't be a great artist without loving the craft, loving the problems that come your way. Oh, I need to start using this brush, but I don't know how to use this brush. Oh my God, I keep breaking this brush. Oh my God, it doesn't apply the paint in the same way. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But I know I need to learn how to utilize this. And that learning process is what makes me better at what I do and allows me to become the man I always wanted to be. The man that other men want to be. The man that women love. I've put myself through the trial and tribulation, and I've made something of myself. Any single business, any single growth development across the entire flipping planet, yeah? The moment you invest a little bit of time and go through a little bit of friction, you're already past the majority of people across the world since the dawn of time. Because all of these men are weak. All of these men give up. All these men are self-serving to the point where they can't look at themselves clearly in the mirror and accept themselves for who they are. And in doing so, this red pill rage, this projection of self-hate upon the woman, I hate you. When the reality is, no, you should love them because they are a reflection of you. Then you start to establish a fantastic foundation in this game. That's when you start to become successful. That's when you start to engage with women comfortably, confidently, and on an engaging basis. You'll type in now, how to be good to women, and you'll have this bullshit. Like what is it? Men going their own way, where these men are just saying, oh yeah, we don't need women, by the way. What? Well, that's Darwinism in action. Don't ever be with a woman ever. Just invest in yourself. Be this strong, independent man. And just die. With no offspring, no nothing. If that's what suits you. Because you're so disgusted by the women. I think there's something deep-seated in there you need to acknowledge if that's the way you're looking at things. If you feel a bit resentful. If you have some degree of disdain over the idea of what a woman wants. Because it doesn't reflect your want. And it becomes this non-congruent disconnect. There comes this mismatch in translation. You're going to have to learn the language. And you're going to have to love learning the language. And then when you start passing her tests and she treats you appropriately, when you start garnering her respect and she starts treating you properly, and then men start elevating you because they see you are somebody who they admire. And that applies across anything. Your business, your work life, your family life. Because we are all around people, and where we are based and where we stand in the pecking order and how we are perceived is how we engage and how we are positioned and how we maneuver in the social realm. So do you think you can just hate half of the people because they don't treat you the way you want to be treated? And there's a reason why they don't treat you the way you don't want to be treated. And there is a reflection of that hate you express that bounces back to you. That came from your own self-image anyway. I hate myself so much, but I can't accept this, so I blame you. And we see this across the world over, no matter what the opposition is. Approach this game with love. Approach her with love. I'm fascinated genuinely on how you operate, because I will never have the mind you have. I will never have the perspective you have. I only have these points and these ideas and these references. And I want to find out if it's true. And I want to meet you halfway. And when you meet her halfway, what happens? You meet halfway. And you connect. And you come together as man and woman. Don't listen to the BS. If anybody hates women, question that. I'm signing out, people. One love. Good. Everyday superpower where we talk body language, relationships, game, and everything in between. Foundational principles of being the man she wants to be with. Whether you are with her or whether you are without her, you will become the man she wants to be with, given you show leadership qualities, that you show leadership, period. That you lead her, that you lead other men. Right, real talk, real game. She wants the leader, she don't want the follower. She wants the creator. She does not want the consumer. She wants the hierarchy. She wants the pimp, not the trick. She respects him more and therefore gives him the materials that she gets off of the lesser man purely down to the fact that what he gives her is priceless. All right? Transcends the financial realm. When she asks you a question, what shall we have to eat tonight? Where shall we go to eat? What do you want to do next weekend? I'm just going to go see my friend tonight. Is that okay? blah de blah de blah. She asks you questions because she is looking for your leadership. She's asking for an answer. These things you might think are self-explanatory, as in, you know, most men will just be like, why are you asking me that? You can do whatever you want, darling. Or, why are you asking me that? Can't you decide for a change? Well, maybe she can do, but the fact is, in its own way, it is a shit test, because she's giving you free reign to be a leader and give direction and to give response and say, you're doing this, that's fine. We're doing this, that's fine. She'll come to you and she'll say, what do you think of these shoes? Do you think they match the outfit? And then some soft ass will say, disregard of what he actually thinks, will say, yeah, darling, of course, out of fear of potentially hurting his partner's feelings or giving some degree of friction in their communication. But truth be told is, the moment you say, yeah, they look good, but I think you look better in the other boots because I think that'd match the outfit a little bit better. When you give some honesty, when you give some truth, when you give some direction, and when she starts to dress the way you want her to present herself, and she feels good about that, she feels confident about that, it all plays in this perfect relationship between man and woman, and creates a dynamic as to where she doesn't want to lead you because you are the leader, and she will be lost without the leader. And until another man comes along who shows better leadership capabilities than you, i.e. your boss, that is why you don't introduce your missus to your boss in the workplace. That's why you don't want a boss. That's why you don't want another man giving you directions or telling you what to do, right? You want to establish your own, you want to find independence. This is the way it goes. Start a YouTube channel. You've got 5 subscribers, right? You're the leader of men. 5 people are listening to you, paying attention to your words. And the thing is, whether they are laughing at you or not, that's not the point. The fact is that you are garnering the attention, and you are essentially being the focal point as to where this small community of men, congregate. That's the leadership she's into, right? Look at some of the more controversial people in the world, whether they be politicians or celebrities or artists of whichever kind. Women are attracted to these men because they garner attention. And how can you garner attention if you are not in some way a leader? You need to lead others for them to be led to your light, right? Like flies to you, right? I'm putting on good game here. Don't ever be ashamed or distracted by the commentary that is given to you, the attacks that are given to you, the aggression that is given to you, which this isn't the video talking about that, but I'm saying that to say this. It's all a projection of one's insecurity you provoke within them. So that's food for thought for another time. But that woman indirectly knows that. Unconsciously, she knows that. She lives in a social realm where women break other women down all the time who they find competitive in the sexual marketplace. That's why they do it. That's why they slut shame, and that's why they put them down and get together and gossip and so forth. It is their version of warfare. They don't fight in the physical sense for the most part like we do. We don't fight with this overt, they don't fight with this overt aggressive violence like men do. They do it underhanded. They destroy someone's social value as opposed to their physicality. Like, they don't physically just go and hurt people. So when you are the leader, whether your attention is positive or negative, the fact that you are leading through some degree and garnering that attention, she understands it, she sees it, and she sees you somebody who is seen, somebody who's notable, someone of value. And if she is to get with you, she can participate in that garnering of attention. That's why gossip magazines and drama and celebrity programs and stuff are so loved by women and feminine men, right? Don't go watching that love shit on television. You got better things to do. You should be creating, right? Real talk, real talk. Unless you're sitting there with your missus, you've had a hard work week, you've done your best, and you think, you know what, I don't normally invest in entertainment, but in this particular circumstance, why not spend this quality time with my partner? Then I can feel that. But you won't believe the amount of men who just sit down by choice and watch like this gay fucking nonsense, and then they wonder why women aren't attracted to them. Come on, spend your time doing something more valuable. Invest in something worthy of being proud of. Stop distracting yourself, man. And that's the whole point. If the media wasn't entertaining, if it wasn't emotionally engaging, if it wasn't, of some value that connects to the human being, it wouldn't be successful. They won't put it on the television. They won't program your minds with this shit. Turn it off. Turn your phone off. Get to work, right? That's all I'm gonna say. But the woman wants a leader. The woman wants the supervisor. The woman wants the manager. The woman wants the CEO, as opposed to their subordinate counterparts, right? It's hard to compete with someone who exists in a hierarchical space above you in the realm of that woman's eyes, generally speaking, unless you are, really surpassing them through various other means, because it's more than a one-dimensional, thing. The way the woman looks at a man, it's more than one-dimensional. It's 20,000 million dimensional, and that's why the whole black pill stuff and the whole aesthetic thing and how you look and how you smell and all this and that. Generally speaking, that's just 1 in 100 million things. Like, you don't need to care about everything, because you will soon realize that if you excel at what you were born to do and what traits you've been given, whether it be mental or physical, and excel and hyper accentuate that, not in a overcompensatory way, but like actually highlight your strengths and work with that and know who you are and find your identity and excel in your identity. The other shit doesn't matter. Don't matter if you're 5'1", mate, honestly. So she wants a leader. She wants the person who's come first in the race. She doesn't want the person who's come second or the third. They are non-existent to her. If her boyfriend was running that race, or let's say, for example, in the gym, if both of you go to the gym and her boyfriend bench presses 100 kilograms and she's impressed by that, right? She's really impressed by that. Wow, 100 kilograms? Wow, how many times could you bench press me? And then you come along and you can bench press 120, 130, 140 upwards. She was amazed by her boyfriend, and now she's met somebody who was only pushed that boundary further into a realm and space she didn't think was possible. You have taken lead within them numerics above and beyond her boyfriend. Now, you can't be great and excel in everything. That's the thing. So it's not about lying, but it's about, you don't need to discuss and talk about your shortcomings unless it is with complete and true confidence, because, hey, that's the point. That's the shit test, yeah? Or do you still live at home with your parents? Yeah, I do. I'm not insecure about it. I mean, I'm not speaking personally, but I'm speaking of a shit test I've had in the past when I first started dating on a serious basis. That's a shortcoming compared to somebody who hasn't got that. I completely understand that. But the fact it doesn't faze me, you always have to find the dynamic. You always have to find the yin to the yang and flip it on its head and reapply the message and the emphasis into something that is, within the masculine principle as opposed to the feminine. It doesn't draw insecurity out of you. If anything, it re-accentuates your confidence because it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Come on. So she wants the leader. She wants number one. The man is number one. Number one is shaped like a phallus, right? Am I wrong? Number two, right? Eve to Adam. Eve was a man such as Adam's a man, because Eve was made from the rib of Adam. She is the womb man. That's some esoteric game for you there. Adam and Eve get together, have a child. Cain and Abel. Cain, free. Abel, free. The triad. Mother, father, son. Arguably, you could say the Holy Spirit, in the Christian sense, is feminine. Open for discussion. So, pay attention. Pay attention. And understand, in her eyes, there's nothing wrong with you doing your best and not being number one. But if it is in competition with competitors in the sexual marketplace, I would go out of my way to not really put that out there in the open. You see? To be humble and to be self-accepting and to understand is completely fine. But there does come a realm where you have to know what you should kind of withhold, because it will devalue you in her eyes. But that's only really going to matter if you're like in this balancing act as to her finding you attractive or not. Like if you are genuinely a man of value, the fact that you slip and slide and make mistakes and fail and don't compare to other men in certain environments and stuff, that's completely fine, because she can take you or leave you. If she leaves, it doesn't fucking matter, does it? You know what I mean? You know who you are, you know who she is, and you know what you bring to the table, so it's irrelevant, and she will perceive that in you. That's the leadership quality she desires. If it's a matter of, oh, you can't leave me because I am submitting to you and I'm pedestalizing you and I am putting myself beneath you, you are the one in my life. Do you know when people say, I found the one? What do you mean you found the one? You are the one. She is the two. She is your support. That's some game. Click like and subscribe as always, people. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. Put you on some games, some food for thought, yeah? You are an independent man. Given you are living independently, given you have left your parents' household, don't fall into the tricks of them saying you need to stay home and save your money and you're fine to live there until you're 30 and blah, blah, blah. No. You're a boy at the age of 32 years old, given that's the case. Get yourself out. Learn how to live your life. Learn how to look after yourself. Learn how to wipe your own ass. Yeah, I don't care if you're paying rent or anything. No woman, honestly, respects the fact that you're there. And if no woman's respecting you, definitely no man who has walked on planet Earth and has left the house and is living outside the house will respect you either. Right? Don't fall for the shit about them saying, oh, well, it's expensive. Blah, blah, blah. Make it work, yeah? Put yourself under pressure. Now, I say that to say this. When you depart from the household, you are a step further from cutting the cord with your mother, given that she's still present, right? This is an uncomfortable and necessary process for any man, and most men don't do this. That's not to say you don't have contact with your mother and you don't adore your mother and you don't look after your mother to whichever extent. But what I'm saying is you need to cut the cord in the sense that you are now an independent man. You need to look within oneself, see the detriment that your upbringing has placed upon you. Your needs, your necessities, your values, your reactions, your emotions, your triggers, your inner child. Nobody gets out alive, right? With light comes darkness. 50% of you and 50% of your upbringing, whether you deem it or whether it's perceived societally as the perfect upbringing, 50% of that is buried deep away because that child didn't get what they want, or they got an abundance, or they got a scarcity of whichever degree of any dynamic ever. Let alone trauma and on and on and on. Now I say that to say this. If my mother can't control me, if my mother can't tell me what to do, can't orchestrate my decisions, can't go to the shops to put clothes on my back, can't put food on the table because it's me taking full ownership and responsibility as an independent man, how can any woman on planet Earth control me to any extent? Okay? Economic. If she's getting told what to do by the boss, and she says, yes, sir, yes, daddy, and then she comes home to you and she starts saying no to you, how can she say yes to the next man and not to you? This is the same equivalent. If my mother, the closest woman to me in my life, can't tell me yes or no, why do you think you can? You can say no to your missus, you know. The moment you think she's overstepping a boundary, the moment you think you're being tested to some extent, whether you are or not, the moment you think you are, the moment she asks you to do something you don't want to do, don't do it. Don't do it. There's sacrifice to be made in relationship, but the moment there's an overstepping of your boundary, and you understand there's an overstepping of your boundary, and if you're not consciously aware and applying it in such a manner and perceiving it in such a manner, what you do is you feel this gut feeling that there's a little bit of resistance, you're a bit sluggish, there's a slight pinch of anxiety that has been provoked within the demand, the direction, the question, the statement, the action on her behalf. In a resolute manner, you respectfully say no, or you don't do it, or you say, do you mind not speaking to me like that? Oh, well, she'll argue with me then, blah, blah, blah. No, she won't, because you won't respond in such a manner. You'll give her some space to free herself up. And most importantly, if you are dating currently, or if this relationship goes to shit and you continue dating other women in the future, you pick up on these things within the first flipping date. You learn to educate yourself, to understand and read people, and in a expression of witchcraft, see the future of these women through how they speak and how they act and how they feel they can cross this boundary in the next, whether it be 1 time or 5 times or 10 times in this hour-long space, 5-hour-long space, 2-day space, 1-week space, that you're not going to be picking up a woman who feels like she can argue with you because you've said no. And you might exist in a community of sorts where the traditional relationship is the man metaphorically elevating his woman to higher ground. But when that man does so, she metaphorically looks down on him, perceives him as lesser, starts to continue looking upwards as the woman does as she dates upwards, starts to continue looking upwards to who the next man is. Who's above here because he's below me. He chose to do this. And these men make it seem fine to be a pushover. They make it seem, they come and they talk a good game. They'll speak to you and they'll talk about other relationships and say, oh, he's whipped, or he's, you know, he shouldn't be doing that, and oh, they're always arguing and oh, blah, 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 blah. And they come to you in this engaging fashion, in this understandable communication of what is right through the eyes of the masculine, but in practice they crumble like a pastry such as the next man, because their actions don't align with their words, or at the very least their actions don't align with what they truly believe. And you can't be that man. That woman's going to see that, oh, he talks that he's going to do this, he talks that he's this man, but he doesn't behave like it, he doesn't act like that. He's a disappointment. He's not the man he puts himself out to be. I'm going to tell my friends about this, and trust me, she does talk to her friends. She does talk to the boys and the men around her about you when you have shortcomings in relation to the persona you apply to oneself. If I went through the friction that was necessary to find independence and leave my mother when she could have continued to look after me, when she could have continued to nurture me with pride, with joy, as the mother does. If I chose to disconnect and place myself in the lion's den in order to become someone, in order to become a man, in order to become strong, independent, observational, constructive, creative, in order to elevate my understanding of oneself in necessity of the progression of the man, of the masculine archetype. Why would I let you, as the woman, as the girl, as the feminine archetype, to reapply the chains I have rid of? This doesn't come from a position of resistance to the woman. If anything, this comes with an amplification of the care, the attention, and the love I can provide to her that she needs ever so desperate in this world of men who don't know any better, who she's not come across before. She won't leave you when she says no, when you say no. She won't leave you when you put a boundary up. She won't leave you when you exclaim that she can't do something within reason, you know. It's what she needs. She comes as a chaotic force. You come as order. That's a masculine and a feminine principle. That is reality. She enjoys spontaneity. You might think, oh, well, that's just some esoteric nonsense. What do you mean chaos and order and all this and that? Where'd you read that? But the thing is, when you're dating with a woman, when you see these women in the world, do they like spontaneous dates? Do they like being surprised with gifts? Do they like being swooped off their feet and going to foreign locations on a whim? Do they like trying new things? Is that exciting to them? And to the men, do they like living on a mattress with a television and a can of beers and a PlayStation, and that's good enough for them? Does the man need not much to get by? Does the man like order? Does the man like consistency, understanding, patterns? If you were to deny that, then you'd be incorrect. But this is how it manifests in the world, chaos and order. And you as a man need to provide order, because if you allow her to have her way, she's going to introduce your world to the chaos and the drama and the impracticality as far as your pursuit is concerned. And it's going to fuck your shit up and she's not going to respect you. Full stop. Game as always, click like and subscribe. Peace. Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. Chop up some game. I'm going to make a statement. I want you to listen to it. And we're going to dissect it and we're going to apply this within the inner depths of our mind. There is a difference between being liked by a woman and being wanted by a woman. There is a difference between being liked by a woman and being wanted by a woman. You can be liked and introduced as a friend. And within that friend, she sees you with the qualities of a partner, just without the sexual pull. Or she can dislike you, who you are, what you represent, what you stand for, but want you, have a biological pull towards you. Arguably, it's Mr. Nice Guy versus the bad boy. She wants the bad boy, although he pulls her pigtails, whereas Mr. Nice Guy, who can offer her the world, or so he says, is put to one side. For a multitude of factors. You have to put your suit of armour on and understand you have to face friction, resistance, criticism, envy, jealousy, and everything in between in order to fulfill the honest spirit of masculinity. That is whom she wants. The man who is liked by all is but a mere shell of a man and doesn't stir the waters to any degree as to anybody actually feeling a way to him. If you can evoke the emotion of envy and jealousy within your fellow man, its parallel would be the emotion of love, interest, attention from the feminine. If you play it safe, you take no risks, you don't garner no results. If you're not bold, if you don't fall down and understand you're going to fall down at some point, then she perceives you as somebody who is never going to be of any benefit to her future. And you think, well, I just want a one night stand, man. Yes, but her biology doesn't just want a one night stand. At its furthest degree, if it's just a bit of fun on a night out, she is sleeping with you because she perceives your genetic value as someone she is attracted to, seduced by. Valued within her eyes. That genetic value is because her biology is probing her to have intercourse with you, because the kids would have the genetic protocol to continue procreating. That's life in the animal kingdom. If you are a horrible man, you can garner a lot of tension. You can stir up a lot of controversy. The woman who hasn't been seen before, the woman who is with men who would crumble under such ridicule and attack in the public eye, will find interest in you, such as the world is showing interest in you. To be nobody in the middle of everyone is a sad position to be. You can be liked by her, by the smile you put on her face, by the cup of coffee you present to her in the workplace every day, through the adoration you show her, through the utter submittance you present to her. And being like a lot of men, arguably most men, you see her receptivity and pull to garnering more of that attention as a sign of her being attracted to you. No, she's attracted to the way you make her feel. She's attracted to her being validated. She's attracted to her being seen. She's attracted to having a man who shouldn't be doing this being her doormat. She's attracted to you not exposing your true self and revealing how you actually feel, and in so disguising it under this sinister guise of a friendly guy. She's fallen for what you wanted to present. Well done. You wanted her to perceive you as this manner, so you put this mask on and you were this friendly guy, you were this nice guy. You wanted to be this likable guy and you got what you want, you are now liked. But you didn't pursue her under the notion that you wanted to be wanted. I want her to want me. I want her to need me, because then you would have applied yourself and your communication in a different way. You would have strategized. You would have understood. You would have looked into her, into the depths of her being and her soul, as to where nobody else has visited ever. And you would have fed that back to her and given her everything she needed from day one till day now. The lack of, the abundance of. You've got an abundance of attention already. I don't need to feed you no more. How about I give you a little bit of something you've not had in your life? How about I stir your attention and your interest through these measures? You might hate me, but you won't forget me. There's a difference between being liked and being wanted. If you want to go out there and have success, if you are texting someone at the moment, you must pursue in the spirit of the seducer. You must express an undercurrent of insinuation. You must stop approaching her and slowly and surely subvert the dynamic into her pursuing you. You must portray that figure in her life as to which she lacks and needs that nobody else is giving her. You must understand who she is. You must understand the feminine. And most importantly, you should see everybody as a reflection of yourself and understand who you are and what you can do. As a salesperson, you know your product inside and out. You can sell that product with ease. If you don't, you're a bullshit artist and you're going to fall flat on your face the moment somebody brings up any degree of negotiation or problem with said product. You're going to crumble. Yeah, I like that keyboard, but I don't want it. Yeah, I like that colour paint, but I don't want it on my walls. Yeah, I like that apartment, but I don't want it right now. You need to spur a need. That's some game. Click like and subscribe. Peace, people.